Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Dodgeball Podcast. I'm very excited to take a quick break from all the recaps that have been going on lately and just get back to kind of the basics with an interview to no stranger to the dodgeball community, and that's Justin Payan. Justin, thanks so much for hopping on, man. Been wanting to do this for quite a while now. I keep pushing it back, but thanks for hopping on.
Oh, no problem. Don't mention it. I'm actually excited to be talking with you and just talk about dodgeball.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't know if people have picked up on this, but I'm trying not to spend too much time on the West Coast because we've all, I want to say we're constantly, I don't want to say in the limelight, but it's just one of those things man, I got to get to Payan at some point, especially before nationals. So glad to finally make it happen. But there's so much to begin with, man. I've known you for quite some time. So let's just see where this goes. Let's just start with what got you into dodgeball. Start from the very beginning.
Man, That would have been some friends of mine that I was hanging out with back in the day. Actually started playing at a church during one of their summer leagues. Everyone at the church would get together and play dodgeball. And that's how a lot of the old school dodgeballers kind of started in the San Diego Oceanside area. But man, this church would have, when I first started, 100 people show up. It'd be 50 on 50 in a big warehouse. Just playing dodgeball on carpet. Courts are really big. It was fun. Eric, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was this the church owned a warehouse, or was that
they own a big complex?
Okay. And
so in one of their rooms that could hold 100 people, they would just do dodgeball.
Gotcha.
In the summer. And then, after doing that for a little bit, Eric Jones pulled me to the side and was like, hey, there's this thing called NDL and they do tournaments and you can go to Vegas, win money. And ever since then, I haven't stopped.
Good old Eric Jones. Yeah, it was cool finding out where he came from because I don't know if you heard him and I's conversation, but we as in, me, Mason, all the guys from Tucson, we ran into the All-American Apostles guys, and then we saw All God's People, and we just thought San Diego only produced Christian-based dodgeball players. You guys were all part of the same group, and little did I know that wasn't quite the case. You guys came from different areas, so I thought and I'm talking Serge and Tim and all of them. I thought all of you just came from that little group. Were they part of that, or that's you guys were different, right? You guys were separate when you played?
Yeah, they were playing at a bar called In Cahoots in San Diego.
Right.
And the bar would play on Sunday nights on a small dance floor. They would put nets up so balls wouldn't go and hit everyone that was just at the bar. Bad lighting, disco ball above us on. Not the best venue for dodgeball, but that's how a lot of them started. And then I think Chase from AAA went down there and saw them and talked to them about the church league.
Right.
And so then they would start coming down when the league started.
Gotcha.
And playing with us.
Good old Chase Findell. Yeah, I was wondering how that happened, so that finally makes sense. That bridge, I guess that was Chase that brought you guys to it. And this was, 12 years ago that this happened? You've been playing for about 12 years?
Yeah, it was a while ago.
That's crazy. And that picture, man, I forgot who posted that. Was that venue you're talking about with the warehouse and the carpet, or is that something else? Did you get a chance to see that?
Oh, from the question comments?
Yeah.
No, no, that was actually at one of the NDL tour stops they did, where if you won, you got to go to Vegas for free.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that was at a tournament in, I think it was Orange County. It was an outdoor soccer arena. That's where I remember that the minute Tillman posted that picture, I was like, oh, the good old days.
Tillman, yeah. Okay, yeah, the historian, that makes sense. I thought it was him because I closed out of the threads. I don't want any notifications popping up during the interview. And my memory short term is just not there, but that's awesome. I saw that, man. I was like, oh my God. That's looking at me from 2006. I'm not big by any means, but I was 50 pounds lighter, and I just could not gain weight to save my life. But Yeah, I saw. I was like, oh my god, who is that? And somebody said, oh, that's Steve-O. Like,
Yeah.
such a great picture. But well, awesome. So what was it about dodgeball that hooked you? Let's walk back a little bit. So like the church started a dodgeball, as you said. Why did you think that was a good idea? Like, why did you want to check it out?
Um, I think it's just because of the amount of people that were playing. Uh, I didn't I didn't know dodgeball was a thing. And then just jumping on the first time, it kind of brought me back to school because I remember playing, you know, like during recess or lunch or whatever, like in elementary school, middle school.
Right.
It kind of just brought me back to how much fun I had back then playing. Um, Granted, playing as an adult is a lot different, but um, it brought back that feeling, and just being on the court, getting the ball thrown at you, trying to get out of the way. There was just something different and fun about it. And like I said, after that first night playing, I never not once went back. Like I was just like, oh, I'm hooked. I'm going every week that they're doing it now. I'm gonna play as much as I can.
You're sold. You're bought in.
Yeah.
For sure. So this was 12 years ago, roughly. Had the movie already come out? I'm guessing it did.
I think though. I believe the movie had come out, and then that kind of sparked maybe the beginning of a lot of these people wanting to like play because the movie was fresh on their minds.
Right. Then you had all these venues wanting to host like dodgeball tournaments to kind of cash in on that as well.
Yeah.
Very cool. So yeah, you mentioned you played like during school. Did you play any other sports growing up?
I did a little football, but it wasn't my thing. I don't like getting yelled at.
Yeah, I think they do that in football.
Yeah. But for the most part, just in high school, I did cross country and track.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So nothing really throwing related.
So like no baseball or
Nope.
what position did you play in football?
And when I did it for a little bit, receiver.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, it's like, yeah, you're not lying. Like no throwing experience at all.
Nope.
That's crazy considering you have like one of the hardest throws I've ever seen and one of the quickest releases as well, which is incredibly frustrating, but we'll get into that later.
Hard throw, quick release, bad form.
Yeah, whatever works though. I mean, it's been working for quite some time. Yeah, because like, so for me, I grew up playing pretty much every sport there was, for fun and then in a formal setting. And I feel the same way. Like for some reason, you can't replicate like that backyard football kind of feeling. Like you can't have that fun because it's regimented. They're yelling at you. It feels like a job, and just sucks the fun out of it. But then you have dodgeball, and that's just like for some reason that doesn't exist. Even now, with as competitive as it is, and with practices, it's still kind of fun.
Oh yeah.
And I imagine that's the same for you. Like, has that fun ever gone away? Like, has it ever been sucked out of you?
I mean, like, no, yes and no. I mean, there are always times where I don't know, you're losing, or I don't want to say it's taken too seriously because I mean, a lot of us do take it seriously, but there are some times where it does seem less fun than it is. But at least for me personally, it doesn't last much longer. Like it doesn't last long.
It's fleeting.
And then I'll get back on the court, a week or two after feeling like that, and then it's gone, and I'm like, okay, now I'm having fun again.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I can imagine, especially with some of the tournaments you played in, it could be really serious. But I'm more like when you guys practice, because you guys still do your Sunday practices in San Diego.
Yeah, so I am actually playing in a Sunday foam league in LA and obviously on Sundays. So I don't go to the practices anymore.
Oh, I gotcha.
Partly because of, upcoming, dodgeball tournaments and worlds. I felt playing foam would be more beneficial than me playing 8.5. And honestly, I think a big part of how it can get unfun is by playing a lot. Like I'm thinking back to the times where I was like, dodgeball again, or I'm not having that much fun. I think it was when I was trying to get in as much dodgeball as I could throughout the week.
Right.
Whereas now, like I'm only really playing once a week, maybe twice. Um, so I think the me not playing as much is making it enjoyable when I do these leagues or tournaments or events.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess there's such a thing as like having too much of a good thing.
Yeah.
Do you think it's an age thing? Like, do you think as we get older and as life actually starts to happen, that kind of impacts that? Because I remember you could have, well, we would always like, we'd go to these NDL programs, us guys in Tucson, and we'd find out from LA that they play like 4 days a week, nights a week, and we're just like, that's the mecca of dodgeball. Like, we have to be there. Like, that's so
Yeah.
awesome. But now it's like I can maybe swing twice a week, if that, and then that's too much. Like that, or that's just enough for me. Do you think that's the case with you? Like, you're just older now, or what do you think caused that?
Oh no, I definitely think it's because I'm getting older. Um, and I mean, yeah, I think people still think, oh, dodgeball, whatever. But it's a lot more hard on the body than I think people realize.
Yeah.
So once you get to that point where you've been playing, man, I don't even know, like 6, 7, 8 years, like and beyond, it just takes a toll. So yeah, I definitely think that me getting older and for playing as long as I have definitely has something to do with me not playing as much, or I mean, because there are other leagues in San Diego that I could play, but I just choose not to. So
Right.
yeah, I definitely think age has something to do with it.
I think so, and that was. I mean, I feel the same. I definitely don't bounce back from an elite tournament as quickly as I guess I would say I used to, but they didn't exist back then.
Yeah.
But as quickly as I would have, if I was, 8, 10 years younger. But
Right.
yeah, you're right. I say this every time, like after every elite tournament, there is just no soreness like post dodgeball competitive soreness. Like everything hurts.
Yep.
Like the arches of my feet hurt. Like that's not natural. Like I don't know how you can make that happen, but it does. And then I can't grip anything. I'm just like this feeble old man, but it also feels so good at the same time in a sick kind of way.
Yeah, I have to take an extra day off when I do these 2 or 3 weekend tournaments, 2 or 3 day weekend tournaments, because I just need that extra day to let my body just rest, so I'm just not feeling awful.
Yeah, I know that feeling. I made the comment too in a few episodes back about like trying Epsom salt baths during Sin City, and that was awesome. And I would never think of doing stuff like that. Like there was a time when I'd be like, "That's stupid. Like stop being weird. Just suck it up." But now it's like, no, I'll do anything that can help me be functional the next day is great. And
Right.
so what do you do to stay in shape? Like, because like honestly, man, I don't understand. Well, let me walk that back a little bit. It just seems like you're getting better and better and better. Like I don't see a slump in you at all. So I couldn't say like, oh, he's out of shape or he looks winded. Like you just seem consistently on the ups. So what do you do during the week to help with that? If you say nothing, I'm gonna punch you.
Well, I mean, I absolutely do nothing. Uh, uh, it. I mean, I know I don't. Yeah, I don't like run. I don't work out. I mean, I walk a lot, but that's because of the job that I do, working in like hospitals and stuff. Like I'm always, walking. But no, I really don't do anything. I also wouldn't say that I'm in shape because I'm 100% not in shape. Um, but I mean, I was tired for UDC this year in some of the games because trampoline just brings that out in you.
Right.
Um, but honestly, I just think it's because like I am super competitive and I have, you know, grew up watching a lot of sports, playing a lot of sports, whether it was just for fun or, for a team. And I just think playing dodgeball for as long as I have, I just I just know the game, you know. And I think I'm also very good at reading people when on the court, so I think that just helps me even more let me do the things that I do.
Right.
Definitely not in shape, but I think just the years of experience and honestly with the teams that I've been on and some of the players that I've gotten the chance to play with help me play like I can.
That makes sense.
And honestly, I don't want to say I don't care, but when I'm on the court, I kind of don't. Like, I just play dodgeball. You know, I'm gonna throw the last ball. I'm gonna make throws or go for catches I shouldn't do. Like, I just go out there and play dodgeball. And I think that helps me also make some of the plays that I have been able to, because I do kind of play a little more carefree than most people do. I think that helps.
So would you say, I mean, I think you already did though, but like, playing carefree is more your style, and so playing with teams like Doom, they kind of afford you that opportunity to do so, right? Like, you're not overextending yourself, you're not constantly like in the middle trying to draw fire.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm a smart enough player to know certain things that I shouldn't do. Like, I'm not gonna run up and start dumping balls when Vince or Nate aren't there to protect me. But no, definitely being on a team with those two in the corners helps me just kind of play my game, and they just let me play my game because they know that. Well, I mean, at least Nate knows that he could tell me to do something, and I'm still just gonna go out there and play my game.
Right.
I think when you start thinking about, oh man, I've dropped 7 balls, I shouldn't go for a catch, or oh man, I've missed 3 targets, I shouldn't make a throw. I think when you start thinking about things like that, it affects you in a negative way, and then you start overthinking everything. So I try to go out there and just play. I don't care if I've dropped 3 easy catches or made 3 or 4 bad throws. Like, I'm still gonna go out there and make the same throws, go for the same catches. Like, I try to let things bother me and just play my game.
That's huge. Like, I know a ton of people, myself included, like we'll get in our own minds, and we'll do like continuously stupider stuff or dumber things because we're so in our head about what we did last game.
Yeah.
So for those of you guys that can like just cast it off and just say, hey, I'm just gonna keep playing, that's huge. So that makes sense. Yeah, and I meant like, I guess maybe I meant like dodgeball shape, because again, and after hearing you kind of explain it, it makes sense, like how you're able to kind of just stay consistent. One thing I wanted to ask though was, this is kind of a weird question. How are your calves so massive, dude? Like, I saw it. Like, yeah.
No. They've been like that ever since I think my senior year in high school, track and field.
Okay.
I think doing the 4 years of cross country and track and field. That's just how they've been ever since.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if I was gonna ask that until I saw that picture. I was like, okay, I have to know, like, just for my own personal sake, because I've got twigs for legs, and I was like, maybe I should ask him for some pointers, because mine are just non-existent.
Yeah, I mean, dodgeball also helps. Like, I just don't stand there. Like, I jump around.
Right.
There was a good stretch, like 2 or 3 year stretch when I was younger, where I would do ultimate frisbee, like every weekend. So that probably helped also. And like I said, for my job, I'm constantly walking. I'm not saying that. I mean, I'm not hitting the weights, but I mean, I'm moving around. I'm just not working out.
Yeah, you're constantly on your feet, and
yeah.
Gotcha. Let's kind of go back to the good old days real quick. So I wanted to ask about so when Eric Jones pulled you aside and asked if you want to join All God's People. This was what, 2007? Was that your first NDL debut?
Oh, geez. Yeah. Yeah, because it was, I want to say it was, 2006, 2007, somewhere around there. Yeah, it was around that time. Yeah, he just pulled me to the side after one of the league nights at the church, and hey, if we go to this tournament, we have a chance to go to Vegas and play for, I don't even remember what the prize was back then. I was like, oh, really? Sure, yeah, it sounds like fun. And then I remember going to the first tournament. I think it was up in LA, and seeing that experience with NDL. Like, there were a lot of teams there. There were a lot of people. Back then, when we were using stingers and Coed, like, it was intense. Stingers. And I remember, I think we lost every game we played, at least at that tournament. I remember the first time I picked up a stinger and threw it. I think I threw it like 30 feet into the air. It was bad. Because he didn't tell me we played with him. I expected all the big 8.5s.
And this was the tour stop?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Sorry about that. This was that tour stop that you referenced earlier?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, not that picture. It was a different tour stop.
Gotcha.
But no, yeah, I mean, I think he apologized or whatever after that tournament because we didn't play well, but I mean, we still managed to go to Vegas, and then ever since then, I think Eric and I were always on the same team, up until he went overseas. So yeah, everyone can thank Eric for creating a monster,
for bringing in the Payan.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Stingers are they threw me off guard too because when we went to the first Vegas in 2005, it was an advertised $25,000 cash prize, and then so we're just thinking, oh, we're gonna go in there and pinch because we did that back then. We're just gonna steamroll everybody, and that was just not the case. And then they bust out these Stingers. We're like, what the hell are these things? And they were okay with me because I played baseball, so I was able to adjust fairly quickly. But we just got murdered the entire time. We had no idea that the competition was going to be so fierce, and for me that was like, oh man, there's definitely a reason to come back next year. There's so many people playing dodgeball. I was so excited. Was that your feeling too, even though you got just completely crushed, or did that bother you at all?
It was a bad experience in the way that we played, but still I enjoyed it so much that there was no thought in my mind that was like, oh, I'm never doing this again. Winning only a couple games in round robin, going 0-2 in the double elimination bracket. After that, I was like, okay, well, now we need to change some people around. We need to practice and get better, and we're going to come back next year. And I think we got third the next year, third or fourth. No, but it was just so much fun playing with the Stingers, seeing at how competitive and how serious people took this. I loved it. I also did throw my arm out really bad that tournament.
Jeez.
That first one. I couldn't hold a towel in my hand. It was that bad. But I like to say that that's what allows me to not have my arm hurt since then. After that moment, it's never really hurt like that. So I'll take it.
So you know how far you can go before it's too much.
Yeah. Well, because except for playing for the 2 hours we played in the church league nights, I'd never been somewhere and had to play that much dodgeball, so I just wasn't expecting it.
Gotcha. And this was still that tour stop though you're talking about, right? That because I wanted to get into what you can remember from the first DWC that you made, which I'm pretty sure is 2007, because that's the first time I remember seeing you guys out there, and as well as Rise. Because I don't know if you remember, we played on the professional season together with the Texas Shade. Yeah. If you actually remember that. And I was like, who the hell is this guy? This guy is really good. And I think there was times where you just carrying the entire team. But ever since then, you just kind of established yourself as a really phenomenal player. So whenever you guys would come down to Tucson afterwards, I'd be like, oh crap, it's him. And then I got to know you a little bit. So
we were at Tucson all the time.
Yeah, and you guys were there often for the tour stops and some of the tournaments that we were hosting as Tucson Dodgeball. It was cool when you guys would come down. I kind of wanted to ask what was I think maybe I already know the answer to this one, but what was your experience coming down to another city, not Vegas, because that was the place to go. That made sense because there's cash prizes there. But when we had the Grand Canyon State Games, you started to see Arizona kind of grow up. What were those experiences like with those road trips and those crazy tournaments that you can recall?
I loved it because we were only used to seeing and playing with people, in Oceanside and San Diego, sometimes LA. I loved going to Arizona. I can see why people don't like it, but I don't understand why people hate it as much as they do.
Right.
It doesn't take long to get there. I genuinely loved the travel back then. And when you're young and you don't really have responsibilities yet, any chance we got to drive to Arizona for, we would take it and play in a tournament. But I just love like over the years, just meeting all you guys, seeing all the different people that play dodgeball, seeing the level of competition that all these other cities have. Um, I think that's why people should play and should try to get out there, um, because it's just fun. You know, grow friendships, meet new people. Um, you have fun with it. Um, so yeah, we took that chance anytime we could. Arizona tournament. All right, let's hop in a SUV or an Eric's car or something and make the 5 hour drive to Arizona and play some dodgeball for the weekend. Drive back. Like it was really fun.
Yeah, it was so cool, and I bring that because I do credit a lot of Arizona's competitiveness because of that. Like when we first got our start, the Grand Canyon State Games was I think I got involved in the second one, and it was a joke. It was like we Team Mule were the only competitive team there, and there was like 5 or 6 like rec teams that were just they didn't obviously play dodgeball nearly as much as we did or take it seriously. And then
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember Michael Carrington. He and I started talking, and I think he invited the NDL to come in, make it a tour stop, and that's when we started to see like this California invasion where LA teams would come down, you guys would come down, and we're just like, oh man, like this isn't a gimme anymore. We got to step our game up. And it was kind of like, for me anyway, it was frustrating seeing you guys out there because like, oh crap, we got to work hard. But then I was like, oh yeah, I love all these people. Like this is fun, and it just like added that layer of what we love with dodgeball now is just like the community. And I was reading your bio earlier, and you kind of just validated that statement where you said the biggest reason I have continued to play the sport over the past 12 years is because of all the friendships I've made with so many amazing people. And you're right, that makes the 5-6 hour commutes worth it. That makes the flights worth it. And it's always like the same spiel, like gotta go to a dodgeball tournament. Then I see like, oh yeah, I'm friends with all these people. Like it just makes dodgeball that much better.
Oh, definitely. I don't want to say I don't think I'd be playing if that wasn't the case, but it definitely like helps knowing that the community that we have is, for the most part, a good community. So or I'd like to at least hope that people know that when they are going to go to an event, whether it's a league in WeHo or a random tournament in Arizona or a league in the East Coast, like for the most part, people are open and welcoming. That's really good. It makes wanting to play this sport and going places worth it.
Yeah, it just adds another layer of awesomeness to it. I had this crazy realization because I was talking to Tim. I think when I got my second episode out, because we're planning on when we're going to make this happen, and I think it was just after the LA Classic in December, and it was weird. I was just like thinking about it in the gym, and I just kind of like had one of those like aha kind of moments, and I was like, man, I've known this guy for like 13 years. Like that's a freaking long time to know someone. And it's so weird because like and I'm sure this goes for everybody. It's not like I think about you guys every day, right? Like, and I'm sure you guys don't think about you know what I mean, like but when I see you, it's like, oh yeah, like friends, cool people. And then there's like the occasional Facebook interactions, but then you live your life, but then you like you repeat like every 3 or 4 months or so as tournaments come up, like you see these people again. And I've been doing that for like over a decade now. I'm like, man, I'm like, Tim has been in my life longer than most people I know now. That's crazy to think about.
No, it definitely is, and that just adds to how great the sport can be. Like like you said, I have people that I see like on a regular basis now. Like I've known you or Jackie or Tim or all these other people like way longer than people that I see regularly, and it's crazy to think that because we don't live near each other. We might see each other once every 3 or 4 months, but it's just crazy.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to think about, and it was just like one of those aha kind of moments. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you mentioned Jackie because I'm just gonna throw this out there and speed this up in the questions. But I was gonna ask. That's one of the crowdsourced questions is, do you remember throwing Jackie in the pool when you came down to Tucson for one of those tournaments? And if so, do you regret it? Because that was hysterical.
I do remember, and I do not regret it. Oh, absolutely not. And if that was ever to happen again, like where I could, I 100% would.
100% would do it again.
100%, yep.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the the history that we've had. I just remember like watching. I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna help. In fact, I wish I could record this right now. This is the best thing I've ever seen. Oh man, those are good times. Yeah, me and Tillman. Tillman calls them the barnstorming days, where it's just like, hey, as you said, let's just round everybody up into an SUV. There's a tournament over here. We don't know if there's going to be enough teams. We don't know if it's going to happen, but let's just shoot for the best and hope people make it. Those are some great times. But in continuing your evolution, you went from AGP, All God's People, to Rise, right? Or was there a team in between then after Eric left?
I mean, not like a legit team. Like there was a couple of teams that I jumped on. I think I played with Corey Morrison 1 year after Eric left. And then the year after that, technically I was on Rise, but we didn't play together in NDL because of things.
You guys were asked not to, right?
Yeah. So yeah, there was a year where I wasn't on Rise yet, and Eric had left, where I just jumped on a team for that NDL tournament. But I mean, pretty much AGP then Rise.
Gotcha. And for anybody that is listening or will listen and is curious, what had happened was Rise had just been dominating since I think 2007, just championship after championship after championship. That in 2010 they were asked not to play, which just adds to that whole like, I don't say like that aggression or that hatred to the NDL, but that's essentially kind of what it is, that bitterness, for lack of better words. Yeah. And that's, it's kind of lame. I know that because we won as Rampage that year. In our final match, we had thought since the beginning, since we formed, we're going to play against Rise. And so like every single game, we're like, play this game as if we're going to play Rise, because that was just the expectation. And then when we found out you guys weren't going to make it, we're like, oh, well, let's still play very, very, very seriously, because it's not a given. But that took a lot of mental pressure off my head anyway. I don't want to speak for everybody else, but I imagine that's the same. And then, we played against Hot Sauce, which, no offense to Mark and Dave Benedetto and whoever else might have been on that team, but that was just lame. That was kind of like anticlimactic. I feel like our toughest match was against Hawaii, but it's just like, dang.
Oh, I remember those guys.
What's up?
I remember those guys.
Yeah, mixed play crew. Those guys are awesome, and they really I'm brought down to the wire. Like Bill Fair won in a suicide. That was a dramatic freaking game. And we go and we just we 2-0 Hot Sauce, and it was like, well, it's great winning. It's awesome being a champion, but then what would have the story been if Rise was there and not asked to not play? So
yeah,
it's one of those bittersweet things for me that I'll always hold on to. But it is what it is, and that's why we're so happy that Elite's here, because I don't think there'll ever be a time when Mark will be like, hey, Doom, can you guys like not play anymore?
Hope not.
Yeah, it's like, no, if you have a problem with Doom always winning, get better. And teams are clearly doing that. So so from Rise to Doom, I don't know if this is gonna be a sensitive topic, but can you comment on that at all? Like how that happened? How did you go from Rise to Doom?
No, it's not sensitive. I don't care. I'll talk about whatever. They kicked me off. There were just issues. I like to think that I know the story, but a couple of details could be off. But from how I understand it is, I think there was a rumor going around that I was like trying to like break up the team and start my own team, which wasn't the case. They were saying I was having issues with my attitude towards other teams while I was on the court, which, I mean, yeah, I can be pretty intense, but I generally felt like out of all the people on my team, I wouldn't have been the worst one that had an attitude problem. And then there was an instance where I got into it with Serge at a practice, and I said a couple things that I probably shouldn't have said that also contributed to that decision. But no, yeah, they kicked me off. I think the thing that sucked the most was like they knew they were going to kick me off for a month or two, so I still played a couple tournaments with them, not knowing they were going to. And at that same time, they had already talked to like other people about maybe joining. Like I had heard from I think Nate Evans or someone in Arizona that Alan was telling people that they were kicking me off and picking him up before they even told me they were kicking me off.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was at work when I got like my phone blew up with 30 messages from people like, "Heard Rise kicking you off. What are you gonna do?" And then a week went by before they were like, "Hey, let's meet. We need to talk about something."
So you already knew at that point.
Yeah, I'd already known. I mean, it is what it is. It sucked because that was the team that I'd known and the people that I'd been hanging out with for a while. But like I've had this conversation with other people before. I've had more fun playing on Doom than I've had in a long time playing dodgeball. I know people might think that, oh, well, you guys win all these tournaments, but when I first joined the team, we didn't. We'd won a couple, like we won like maybe a round, maybe another tournament, but we didn't really win anything big for the first year and a half I was on Doom. But losing on that team, still, I had more fun than when I was winning on Rise.
Right.
And I think that just goes to show you how great, I mean, skill-wise, obviously my teammates are, but how just as people, how awesome like Nate and Vince and Terry, Cole and Ish and all of them are on and off the court. I've had way more fun with them losing or winning than I've ever had playing dodgeball. So I mean, it sucked getting kicked off, but at the end of the day, like I'm happier now.
It turned out for the better.
Yeah, definitely. I've got to get to know these guys, call a lot of them really close friends now. So it's definitely been a positive than a negative.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and looking at the history, it's not like you hopped on Doom and you guys started dominating immediately. Like I remember Rise was still winning, and again, only speaking for myself, I was like, dang, that is a huge testament to their abilities if they can kick off somebody like Payan and still dominate. Like that's incredible. And then all of a sudden, I think 2015, 16, you guys just said, okay, we're gonna start winning now. You guys got into this crazy streak.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know, talking to Tim and Serge and knowing them for so long and kind of understanding Rise and their mentality and how they view the team. It's all very structured, very regimented. It's almost militaristic in some aspects, and I love that. So that's totally something that I would like to see if I ever to start up a team again, because I tried the other way, trying to be the nice guy, trying to be friendly, and then Team Evil ended up being, in my opinion, the best team that never was fully. I'm totally fine with owning that if anybody has any questions, but that's just how it is. Like some teams have a certain type of dynamic or personality where if it doesn't work out anymore, that person leaves and they go find some place where they actually belong and they flourish. And that seems like the case with you.
Yeah. I enjoyed, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed how Rise runs, their team, being super competitive, my entire life. Like it made sense to me. Let's practice. We work on plays. We work on throwing together. We work on throwing at targets with different people so you know how to throw with everyone on the team and everything like that. That makes sense, and it's a big part of getting better. But being on Doom, I can also see the other side where we don't. I mean, yeah, for a while we would try and get together and practice, but like we don't. Like we're more of our get-togethers are more social. Like I think we're to the point where we're just so comfortable with each other on the court that we just know instinctively what we're all going to do. So our get-togethers are we're going to go have we like to have team dinners or just go to Dave and Buster's and hang out. Like we like to do stuff as a team to get to know each other more rather than meeting up and practicing.
Right.
Which I think both are key. I think in the long run, people do need to practice, but I think a big part of it is also you have to get out there with your team and just have fun. Go do something. Go watch a movie together. Go have dinner. Go do anything. Like, I think that's a really big part because it builds that friendship and that trust.
That camaraderie.
Yes. And I think that helps teams stay together longer. And at the end of the day, you can try to pick up the best players or do all these things, but like, I think what's going to help the sport, and like Tuda is a great example, is teams that are sticking together, teams that are practicing together, teams that are staying together, even when they're losing when they first start. Because it takes time to just get to know each other plays, to trust each other, just to know like, oh, hey, Nate's going to run up. I know what he's going to do. I know where I need to be. Like, it takes time for that. And these teams that stick together and tough it out to the showtime, grit/Zephyr, like, I respect and I like it. I like to see these teams keep showing up because that's what we need. We need these teams to stay together and play. Otherwise, we're not going to grow at all.
Yeah, I comment on this all the time. I definitely speak to Rise's treatment of how they treat the team like a brand and like an organization, and the structure. That's what I was looking for. But then I also comment about you guys in Doom and how you guys are always hanging out. You guys are like best friends. I think a couple of you guys might be like godfathers to some of the children there. But you guys are everywhere together, and I feel like that's like, if you can find a good merger of those two, like that's what's going to make or break a solid team. That and consistency, like you said, teams got to stick together and they got to get to know each other. Like, you can take 6 of the best players that have ever played and still have a crappy team. But if you have people that work together, are bought in, and they know each other, and they played long enough to pick up on those nuances, as you said, like, if I'm going to throw, I know Nate's got my back. Like, I don't have to worry about my left side, or I know that, I can throw and somebody's going to come up and press and protect me as I backpedal my way back to the back line. Like, those are things that you just can't plan. Like, you can't, good luck trying to plan dodgeball plays, right? Because the second those whistles go, it's chaos. It's beautiful, wonderful chaos, but you have to have that trust to kind of mitigate that. And I want to say, like, the military is just like that. Like, you have to trust that the guys to your left and your right, they're going to take care of you, because that's just how it is. Like, the best plans are going to go out the window the second stuff happens. So that's huge. And I was actually going to ask you that, like, being in San Diego, does that impact your ability to be part of that group or at all? Like, are you an outlier? But it doesn't sound like you are at all. So I think I kind of answered that one.
No. Obviously they're going to see each other more than they're going to see me. But no, like, for big things, birthday parties, or have dinner, or do this or do that, like, we would always set things up like that on the weekend, so we can, because it's just easier in general for most people to do things on the weekend.
Right.
But no, I don't, it doesn't really affect a whole lot. And honestly, it's only on a good day, a 2-hour drive, which I clearly don't mind taking since I come up on the weekends for our home league. But no, maybe at the beginning joining because I was new to the team, or kind of new to the team. I was on their tramp team for a couple years before I was on their 8.5 team. But still new-ish for some people. That it was I don't want to say awkward, but definitely was, me being in San Diego and them being up in LA, there was that divide.
Right.
But after I joined the 8.5 team, probably a few months in, it didn't feel like that. They were really good with making me feel like I was a part of the team, even though I wasn't in LA with them. I was in San Diego. I'm newer to the team. Like, they made me feel at home, which I really appreciated, and I think it made the transition a lot easier.
That's awesome. Yeah, so that brought up a question I want to ask. And what, for teams that are like newly formed or newly forming, because this is always going to happen, especially after nationals, like, what would you recommend helps build that camaraderie, especially as somebody that, you're kind of distant, you're, like you said, you're like about 2 hours away.
Yeah.
But what would help? You mentioned like team dinners, going to Dave & Buster's. Like, I almost want to say, like, how do you make friends with your teammates in a sense?
Yeah, anything like that. Anything that you can do as a team. Even, honestly, if you can't get the whole team together, just trying to do things like, like I said, Dave & Buster's, team dinners, bowling. It doesn't matter. Get together with a team. And And if you are playing with team members that do live in different cities or different states, when you guys are at these events for a tournament and you guys are all in the same city, have a team dinner before, the big weekend or after the round robin day, like before double elim the next day. Like, try to get together and do something. I think that's really key in getting closer with your team. And I mean, this might just be because of how I play dodgeball, but it's serious, but it's not the end of the world serious. Like, people are going to make mistakes. Teams are going to make mistakes. No one in the history of dodgeball has ever been perfect the whole time.
Right.
So I mean, you gotta trust in your team and the players that are with you to know that they're gonna pick you up and have your back, and be there. You counter someone, you get countered, and you're upset because someone didn't pump fake. Like, yeah, it sucks, but at the end of the day, I mean, things happen. You gotta trust your team, trust that they'll make up for it, trust that they'll get your back. If it goes well, it goes well. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Pointing fingers never helps. I had a problem with that early on because I knew I was good, and it took some time for me to even get in that mentality of I can't do everything. I need to rely on my teammates. Stop pointing fingers. But I think in part with that comes the socialization of it. And you getting together with your teams, that'll help everything else on the court because you do have that friendship, that social aspect of that camaraderie that just makes playing together easier.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's not the end of the world. No one died, It's cool you mentioned that because, like, you can have, as you said, a bad play, but then if your teammates kind of back you up, pick you up out of it, or pull your head out of it, and you're still friends afterwards, what did you really lose? Like, just a dodgeball game at the end of the day, as I said.
The friendships that you make on the court and with your team are going to last longer than dodgeball because you can't play forever. And who's to say dodgeball is going to be around forever? So it's definitely important to keep these friendships and grow with the people that you know over trying to win, an elite round or a dodgeball league. Like, the friendships is what matters the most.
Yeah. That was part of the, like, epiphany moment that I had too, is like, I was trying to think of, like, man, Tim's going to retire in a couple of years. I'm on my way out too. So how am I going to stay in contact with this guy? Because you can't just, like, ditch somebody for knowing them after, over a decade. So you're very right. And, like, I remember you throwing Jackie, into the pool in the apartment complex I would eventually move into way more than I remember, like, most of the events between those 3 years. Okay. Right?
Definitely.
I remember I just getting completely hammered because you kept killing me in Buffalo, in San Diego. But I couldn't tell you how I did during that tournament. I may have done, like, some cool things. I think we took, like, 5th. I don't know. But, like, I just somehow remember before blacking out, unfortunately I hate to admit that, just getting murdered and never wanting to drink around you again because that's how I'll die. Like, it's just not going to work out. But that's a really good takeaway. And I hope, again, for teams that are struggling or teams that are frustrated that are friends or aren't or trying to get there or are brand new, like, that's so important. Like, there has to be a good blend between team buy-in and friendship for anything to work, and you just have to play it out. You have to stick it through. You're not going to show up on day one and be like Doom. Like, even you guys had your learning curves and your growing pains, so that's massive, I think.
Oh yeah,
that's a good nugget, man. That's I hope people pick up on that one.
Yeah, it's true. Like, that was also a big part of why I didn't like playing. I enjoyed playing on Rise, but, like, they do have that reputation of if the things aren't going well, they'll kick you off.
Right.
Like, I think that at the end of the day, and that's just how it is. I'm not saying that there are people on any of my teams that are bad or whatever, but, like, I'm not about, at least at this point in my life, kicking people off teams because, you honestly never know how someone's going to take it, like, and it could ruin a friendship. And I'd rather play with play with the people that I have and the people that I like, than try to kick someone off to pick someone up that's better and possibly ruin a friendship with someone.
That's a good point, and that kind of goes into one of the questions I want to ask, and that was, and hopefully I'm not bringing up any wounds here, but obviously you guys didn't make it for this year's UDC. Tula took it from you guys. Is there going to be like, I don't want to say like a rebuilding phase, or you guys just kind of just shrugging this off and be like, hey, you know what, not our day, we're just going to move on to nationals? Like, how's that work for you guys?
Yeah, no, there's no rebuilding. The team that we have is the team that we have. I think it always will be. I think if the time came where someone didn't want to play, or we were like, hey, you know, we've lost 2 or 3 or 4 in a row, like maybe a couple of us would jump on another team, but I don't think we would replace people and still call it Doom. So definitely no rebuilding. People lose. It is what it is.
Right.
None of us wanted to lose. None of us like to lose, but I mean, it happened. I'm not going to go into, you know, calls that were made, calls that weren't made, or anything like that. At the end of the day, they were the best team that weekend. We weren't. Am I upset that we lost? Yeah, because I like to win. But at the end of the day, there's still something about them beating us, because that's the team we've been practicing with for like the last 2 years. Like since we've been playing at Van Nuys, like they were the trampoline kids there. They were the ones that we practiced with, you know, the last couple of years. They're the ones that we've seen the most. We're the ones that they've seen the most. So in a way, there was something special in them beating us because it was them.
Right.
Like after losing, I was thinking about it. Like if I was going to lose to any other team that was there, I'm okay with them beating us, and it made just the most sense, because I don't want to say this because then maybe it seems like we're too old or we can't play anymore, but it was almost like a passing of the torch, you know, like we were at Van Nuys, we've been practicing with them, helping them get better, you know, kind of teaching them the sport, and then they showed up, they beat us, and so it's almost like it's their time now, which I hate saying because I don't want to stop playing, or I don't think I'm done playing anytime soon. But it was just something special about them beating us than someone else. So, I mean, didn't want to lose, wasn't happy about it, but I'm glad it was them. They deserved it.
Nice. Yeah, Rob made a comment about something somewhat similar, where it's like, you know, he wants to, the way he sees himself exiting, again, not insinuating that you're going to exit ever. You've got like at least another 10 years in you easily. He's saying, you know, he wants to be, like, I don't want to say overtaken, but he wants to be beaten by somebody better than him, and that's how he can kind of pass the torch and know that, okay, I'm okay with this now.
Yeah,
that's an interesting concept, and yeah, that's pretty cool about, or I guess that's a good takeaway from that weekend, because you can tell when I was interviewing Mick, like he was just kind of blown away that that's where they are now.
Mm-hmm.
And
no, they've definitely come a long way, and they weren't. I mean, they were never bad, but they weren't there yet, and that just goes to show, you know, stick it out with your team, stick it out with your friends, keep playing together, because they're a good example. They were good, not there yet. They've been playing. They transitioned from trampolines to courts. They play elite. They're doing the leagues in LA, and now they're UDC champions. Like you have to work on it. You have to stick with it, and they're a great example of that.
For sure. Yeah, that all that hard work pays off eventually. And for some, you know, don't know when or how, but it does.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, and it could be something. It could be something really small. Like you don't even have to win a tournament. It could be, hey, we've been working for the last 2 years and we got third. Like it could be something as small as that. Like it just takes that one moment that a team's been working so hard to achieve something, and it could take that one moment, like a fourth or a third, to be like, hey, we've put in the last 2 years' work. It's showing off. Let's go get it now. Like you never know when you're gonna get that moment.
Yeah, never know when it's gonna come. Do you play trampoline often, or is that like a seasonal thing? Like once UGC starts coming closer, or the what do you call it, qualifiers?
Typically we've tried to get on tramps a month or two before the qualifier, and then if we qualify for the championship, we'll try to get in every weekend up until the championship. I know sometimes it's just hard. People have work or schedules conflicting, but usually it's just when the qualifiers and UDC is coming around. Maybe that'll change after the loss. I think after the first time we lost, we tried to get on a little bit before even the qualifiers were announced. But so we might do that again. It hasn't been brought up. I mean, we probably won't bring it up until after nationals anyway, when dodgeball is kind of at that lull. But no, typically, at least for me, I don't know if these guys get on at all when they're up here, but I don't typically get on a tramp until like qualifiers.
Gotcha. Is a transition difficult, or do you just have muscle memory when you hop on? You're like, oh, okay, we're playing this way now.
I mean, for some people, it might not be difficult. I find it a little difficult, just because I don't get on the tramps a lot, and I typically don't like to change the way that I play depending on the like ball style. Like I'll go into any type of ball style, tramp, no sting, foam, and play the same. So I think that affects me when I get on the tramps for the first time after a while, because I'm just used to doing things a certain way, and I have to adjust with throwing on the pads or throwing on the tramp. So there's a adjustment for me 2 or 3 practices in. But after that, I get used to it, and then it's not that big of an issue.
You're good to go.
Yeah.
Is that the same with foam? Imagine it's a little bit easier because you're on solid ground now. Like, does that change your game at all?
The solid court's a little easier. I would have said yes if you had asked me like months ago. Now, not so much, just because I'm playing in that foam league. But yeah, if I haven't touched a foam ball in a while, it could take a few games or matches to just get used to my release, because it is different. But I actually enjoy throwing foam more than any of the other. I think any of the other styles. It hurts my arm the least.
Really?
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting that.
I don't think a lot of people do. But I didn't think that when I first started playing foam, like back in 2015. But when you actually play it frequently, I think most people will come to find that it does hurt less than the other styles.
Interesting.
And I mean, as like playing, the girls can crush these balls, so it's always fun. It's always fun going up against talented females that can just crush you at any moment.
Yeah, you're alive at their pleasure. They can take you out whenever they feel like it. I wonder if so do your throwing mechanics change at all with foam?
They do if I haven't picked it up in a while. But since I've been playing in the league for the last few months, I don't think it changes that greatly. If I'm trying to put full power behind it, I have to adjust a little bit. And I also have to adjust a little bit with my counters when I'm in the corner pressing, because because of the weight of the ball, like I can't counter with the quick release that I normally could with a no sting or 8.5 because of the weight. But it's not a big adjustment. But there's a little.
There's some adjusting.
Yeah.
I wonder if it has to do with like your quick release. Because like when I throw foam, I'm throwing 8.5, and you would think I would get it by now, but try undoing how old am I? Like 25 years of throwing, right? Just not gonna happen off the bat, and so I end up almost throwing my arm out almost immediately, so I have to like dial it back a lot and just slowly start building up to foam, which is weird because you don't think you have to build up to throwing a ball that's lighter. But I
Yeah.
wonder if it's
No.
because of yeah. I wonder
Same.
oh, what's up?
No, it's like the same thing. I have to warm up way more with foam than I do with 8.5 or no sting, and I think it's because it's lighter. Because if I don't warm up, then it will hurt my arm.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I'll grab a foam ball and just stand 10 feet in front of a wall and just throw it a good 20, 30, 40 times. Not hard at all, just to get, the weight down and the motion going. And then I'm good. But yeah, definitely something that I have to warm up to. I can't get out there, throw, 5 foam balls and be like, okay, I'm warm.
Is that the case with you in 8.5? Like you just need a couple, then you're good to go, or do you still need to warm up with those significantly?
I like to warm up with those significantly. If I showed up late to a tournament and had to jump on the court, my first few throws would probably not be great.
Right.
But I definitely with 8.5, I don't need to warm up as often or as much. But with foam and no sting, I have to warm up a little bit more.
Definitely. What? How would you rank them between foam, no sting, and 8.5? What's your favorite 3? Or what's your top? Or yeah, just how would you rank them? I asked it like that.
Like deep down, I want to say 8.5 is my favorite because it's what I'm best at. But the competitive side of me is gonna say foam because I think that's the hardest to. I don't want to say adjust to, but I'm going up against someone that's really good at foam, like Nate. Nate's a great example. Nate's got a great foam throw. And because of how the foam balls can move, like you have to pay more attention, like to everything. Even when you have a ball in your hand, like I can't tell you how many times I've gotten hit in the league with a ball in my hand. With a foam ball, like it's crazy at how difficult it can be to stay alive. And I think it's the easiest for girls to get used to. And I love co-ed more than I like open. I like playing. I like playing with the ladies. I think it makes it I think it makes dodgeball more competitive because these good teams have to split up into other teams, so you get more competitive teams. And when you're playing co-ed and foam against a really good girl, like again, I'm gonna use Karina as an example. Like if I'm playing in a style and in co-ed where I have to pay attention to every single person on the court, I'm going to like that more than 8. And you can't get that in 8.5 co-ed. Not saying that the girls aren't good enough, but it's like you don't really have to worry about a lot of girls throwing that ball. There's a few, but not a lot.
Right.
So my worry is really never on them. It's always on the guys. Whereas in no sting, but I think more so in foam, you have to worry about everyone on the court. And I like that. So I think foam would be 1, no sting would be 2, and then 8.5 would be 3.
Wow.
And then, again, that's just because I like co-ed more. So those first 2 divisions, everyone means more than it does in 8.5. If it was just 8.5, or not 8.5, if it was just like men's and women's separate, I'd probably say foam, then 8.5, then no sting last.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, even with Coed 8.5, like generally, 2 people are going to throw, maybe 1 at a time before your teammates start getting dwindled down. So it totally makes sense. Like you're not going to get thrown as much with 8.5 versus foam, and starting to realize that now. It's like, yeah, you're right. You're just constantly aware of what's going on. You have to be. And I remember like when I first started playing foam, not saying that this still doesn't happen. I'm just more used to it now, but it's like I would see a ball and I would just assume its trajectory was going to go, past me, but then it would bank in and hit my like left heel somehow. I'm like, how in the hell did that even happen?
Oh yeah.
And it's like you're not clear until that foam is like 8 feet away from you. Like you have to watch everything, and that's a really good point. I know I like to knock foam, and I'm always teasing Randy about how 8.5 is superior, but starting to starting to shift over to the foam side just a little bit. That's a really good point. With your competitiveness, and I'm not kind of weird about this question because going back to talking about the things you remember versus like actual like tournaments, you seem to have like this you back down from nothing mentality. And I'm referencing, I don't know if you remember, you almost got into a fight with like Christina Nevo's dad over something, and this guy wasn't a small dude, like he was massive, and I think Mason and Brian Armand got in between you two, and I think Mason said, well, I know he said this, he's like, this whole time I was praying that this guy would not just start beating the crap out of me. And like, Mason's a big dude. I don't know how many people remember him, but you know, he's not somebody that you would ever hear something like that from. And here you are egging him on, saying, hey dude, let's throw down. I'm paraphrasing obviously what you said, trying to keep this, PG rated, but where does that mentality come from? Where do you get that competitive edge and I will stand up to a bear if I have to?
Well, so I think a small part of that is how I was raised. My dad always, like, they don't, like, if someone comes at you, you have to defend yourself. So I was kind of raised a little bit with that. Even if you're gonna get beat up, like you gotta stand up for yourself. So I've always done that. And then there's been situations growing up, high school, middle school, whenever, like, where it didn't work out in my favor, but I just always have that, like, I don't care how big you are, I don't care how many of you there are. If you disrespect me or get in my face or disrespect someone that's close with me, like, I'm always gonna stand up for myself or people that I care about. And I think that's also kind of transitioned to dodgeball, which gives me that, like, kind of like, I don't care attitude when it comes to things. And like 1-on-5, 1-on-4, I'm at the line getting charged and, I catch it 2 feet in front of me. Like I think that's helped a little bit with that, being raised that way. And also, like I said earlier, I've got to the point where I care, but I also don't care.
Right.
In games. So, like, I think, again, the not caring as much helps me, again, make some of the crazy catches that I make when I'm getting charged, or when it's 1-on-4 and I can hit someone and catch a ball at the same time. Like, I've been playing a long time. I've grown to not care as much about what happens to me on the court. I've been in so many high pressure situations where I'm kind of used to most scenarios, which helps. But again, dodgeball aspect, it all boils down to not caring as much. Things happen, so it is what it is. Life aspect, I was, raised to stand up for yourself. So, I mean, big or small, I don't care who you are. Don't disrespect me because I'm not gonna like it.
Yeah, and I feel like those definitely go hand in hand. Because if you can stare down some like 6 foot tall, 6'5" massive dude, that
big.
What's that?
He was very big.
Yeah, he's a big guy. If you can stand up to that, then I mean, okay, Chad Landrum hits you in the face with a dodgeball. I mean, did you die? No. So that I totally understand what you mean by, like, you saying you don't care. Like, it's not you don't care about the game. It's not like you don't care about your teammates. It's just you don't have a lot of fears that people might have, or a lot of like nonsense going on in your brain that would prevent you from doing the natural things that you would do, like those clutch catches or those amazing throws, or even just knowing, hey, if I pump fake, I know Steve's going to jump, and I'm just going to wait to get a shin, because that's all you got to think about. Whereas I'm like, oh crap, it's Payan. What do I do? No one's here throwing with me. I'll crap him too close. But like, I'm already out. I might as well just walk out at that point. When you're looking at the mental aspect, my mind versus yours, chances are you're going to win most of the time, and that's definitely been the case when I've gone up against you. I'm way too in my head about it. And I made this comment with Rob, like, most of the time, if I do anything good, if I do anything like incredible or game changing, it's because there's nothing going on in that brain of mine. It's just empty. And that's like that's where you have like your best moments, and that's why I love dodgeball so much. Is there's those opportunities to just go mindless and be like, yeah, I have no idea what I did. I just kind of blacked out and we won, so that's great.
Oh no, yeah, and I mean, and that lead like it goes into kind of the not caring is when you, like I said earlier, when you start to overthink things,
Yep.
or I don't want to say think things through because you can think things through, but the minute you start thinking too much into something, it's probably going to go bad. That's why you just got to go out there and you just got to play.
Yep. That's simply good outlook. So I wanted to go into some of the crowdsourced questions, and I was, as soon as I posted that on the group page, my notifications just like started lighting up. I was like, oh man, what have I done? But I'm glad, and thank you to everyone that participated. But I want to start with the typical two, and that's first of all, do you listen to any music while you're playing or while you're warming up or before dodgeball?
No.
You don't? Okay, so that kind of takes out those two.
I don't like wearing headphones or anything on my head when I'm warming up. And I mean, I'll listen to music on like going to the venue, but there isn't like a playlist or an artist that I have to listen to. I just kind of listen to whatever's on. And I just get to the gym and start warming up.
Nice. Yeah, I was going to ask playlists and songs that amp you up, but that takes care of that. So we'll go ahead and go into the first one. That's from Sergio Leone. He has, how does playing in Elite Final compare to playing in Worlds, and is there any difference in your approach? So, Elite Nationals, playing for number one in the nation versus in the world. Like, how does that compare, and do you do anything differently for that?
Doing anything different? No. I kind of approach all dodgeball the same. But there is a difference. I feel like there's definitely more pressure when you're on the world's team than when you're not, or when you're playing in Elite. Because I mean, it's not Olympics, but there's still an organization that's designating this as this is the World Tournament for Dodgeball. Countries are represented. You're wearing something that says USA on it. So it definitely adds to everything. Just being a part of that, I think, makes things bigger. So it can be a little nerve-wracking, being on that stage. World seems bigger. Not saying Elite's not big, but I don't approach either any differently.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's different because, finals. We'll use this last West Coast or this last West region as an example. So, it came down to you and Anarchy, right? Yeah. And before, I'm not even ashamed to admit it. If it was like you and Heat, I would have absolutely wanted Heat to win because we're Arizona, right? We want that to happen. But then it became you and Anarchy. Like, well, shoot, I hope Doom wins because at the very least, let's not let the West lose. But now it's Team USA. It's like freaking America better win. Like that's just. I'm sure that's how everybody feels. So it's like the level of support and expectation to win definitely increases with anything that's Team USA.
Yeah.
So I get that. Nathan Toombs asked, and I think this was answered in the thread, but I'm just gonna throw it out there: who's a stronger team, Canada or Malaysia?
Malaysia.
Malaysia. I think that's what people were saying. Even Carrie.
They train very hard and a lot longer than we do. I also think a lot of the team lives near each other. I'm not 100%, but I think they're all pretty local, so they can all practice together most of the time. They practice months and months before the event, and they get it down to a science where they know what each person's going to do, how they're going to play. They're really quick to the line to get that ball in the rush to get people out off the bat, and they just move really well. Like, they know how to get low. They know how to move. So, your throws have to be spot on to hit them. They definitely know how to play dodgeball, and they do it very well.
Aren't they government backed too?
I think so.
Must be nice. That's the one thing that really drives me crazy about these other countries is that they have such a much better setup and so much more backing them than USA does, and it's just like soccer. I feel like we're just last to the game and just behind. Markel Stokes asked, "How does it feel to be one of the top dodgeballers in the game?" And I mean, per the Dodgeball Tribune, don't know how seriously you take it, but you're number one. So, how does that feel? Does that get to your head at all? Does that bother you at all? What's it like?
No, it doesn't get to my head. I know that I'm good. I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm number one. I'm as good as I am because of the teams that I've been on. I was good on Rise because I had Tim in one corner, Jim in the other corner. You know, I can do what I can on Doom because of my team. Like, if I don't have Nate or Vince in the corners, like it's not the same because they're such a big presence. I want to take the Tribune article and ranking seriously because I mean he polled people that he trusts in the community and respects and have been playing a long time that know dodgeball to give rankings to him, and he averaged everything out. So when that came out, me being number one told me that at least a good majority of the people that he asked thought I was number one, which I appreciate, and it makes me happy that people think that. But honestly, it could have number one could have gone to me, Ketchum, Nate, Vince, Tim. Like, there's people that it could have gone to. I was just lucky enough to get it.
That's a good point because it's and definitely not going to take away from anything that you've accomplished and done. But I'm glad you mentioned because of the teams that you've been on because that's a huge factor that I don't know if people consider that when they're making these rankings. Or if that's like something that should be taken into consideration, because I'm curious to see like how would you fare against a team that is 5 brand new people? Would you be just as lethal? Would that cause you to play better? Would that be seen as like, geez, man, Payan's like by himself and he's still murdering people? Yes, he is definitely number one. There's like without a doubt being able to recognize that. So I wonder if that was part of it and if that's something that people do consider. Because yeah, who you surround yourself with is definitely going to be able to determine how much harder you have to work. Do you have to dodge 2 balls versus 5 all the time? Are they always gunning for you? Are you always the first one out because people target you right away?
Yeah.
So that's a really good point that you mentioned. I'm glad it's not gotten to your head too, because I'm sure some people, their egos definitely swell when they make these lists. But I'm happy that Tyler's doing stuff like this because I feel like this is going to be what feeds into something much better down the road, and it's going to be much more thorough and involved. And I mean, you got to start somewhere. So it's
I know some people have given him crap for it, but no, I like that he's doing this and taking the time to do that, whether it's rankings or all the articles he's posting about, you know, round 1 recap or UDC recap. Like, no one else is doing that, and he took it upon himself to do that. And I appreciate that because I do think down the road it could help.
Yeah, it's just going to build off of this and get better and better and more refined. So yeah, it's not nothing's going to be perfect the first time ever.
Yeah.
When I first started this podcast, I literally said this is going to be really hard because I couldn't even say the opening, and I'm recording by myself. So like nothing ever works out right away out the bat. If it does, then you're pretty lucky. But Brody Johnson asked, "Can you teach me how to shuffle a deck?" I don't even know what that's about, but are you gonna?
So we all stayed in the same house in Chicago, and we played Texas Hold'em, and he'd never played before or shuffled a deck of cards. So it was funny watching him try to do that. But no, I'm not going to help Brody shuffle a deck of cards. He has to learn on his own. He's a grown up.
Some things you just have to learn by yourself. You just have to. There's some man skills that you just need to figure out on your own. Speaking of skills, though, David Tate's drinking tips on how to increase our tank abilities. How do you survive? Oh, okay, that's me. Okay, my bad. I kind of hijacked this question. So first of all, Tate's was asking for drinking tips on how to increase our tank abilities.
Oh man, I don't know if that's something you can learn. I think it's just something you're born with. I also just like to drink tequila, so that I don't know if that helps anything at all.
Lord.
But I mean, Tates can come down to LA. He can leave Bakersfield, come down to LA, and I can show him.
You can show him the ways, show him the ropes a little bit, or give him some hands-on experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put how do you survive? Because I almost died the last time I was drinking with in your presence. And not just the San Diego Classic. Like I think the last time we were all at Bogies together with your and Brett's like 100
Yeah.
shots, or that was just good
Yeah.
God.
Well, when shots are $2 a piece, we have to get 100.
We just
That
might have
just makes
to.
sense to me.
That's
Um,
just
but
economically responsible.
I mean, I mean, I survive. Yeah, it doesn't mean I feel good the next day.
I'll take it as long as you hurt just in some capacity. If you like bounce back like nothing, then I'll always be jealous.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely feel it.
Yeah, it was last year. During this sand dodgeball tournament, I did not start with the intent to get that crazy, but it just happened. Like I blame Payan for everything. This wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for him. So
When you're in Arizona and you're in the heat, and you're playing sand dodgeball. You got to drink.
it's just like a rule. Yeah, I didn't drink this last time, and I was just happy to be alive. I was like, man, that one might have killed me just because this is it's no joke. You guys don't play games. You don't. You guys are serious. And that goes in. I guess another question is Sergio Leone would be or asks who'd be your partner for a 2v2 beer pong game.
So I know Joe Colella wants me to say him.
Yeah, he did. I think.
I think it would be Tim. Yeah, Tim and I we played beer pong often together, and in the past we've gone to like little tournaments at bars in San Diego, and we've always done really well. So I'd probably pick Tim.
That's awesome. I retired from beer pong, but if I ever saw that, I would have to participate just to watch. That'd be a fun thing to watch. Tim's awesome to hang out with. Brett Baxter asked, in your opinion, will Ethan ever gain enough weight to join Echo? And I think he said no right away, just off the bat.
Ethan, never. He's too small.
Alan Thomas, I think, kind of piggybacked off this question and asked, does that mean Ketchum is getting kicked off? Because I guess he's shredding up pretty fast, which is terrifying.
And that's also a no. I will never catch him off any team that I'm on.
Yeah, that's he's faster and in better shape. Yeah, let's ditch him. That's not going to help us at all.
I mean, and it's Ketchup. Like, why would you want to kick him off your team when he can do some of the things that he can do?
Yeah, it's I'd like to find the team that does that. It's just silly. Ryan Anderson asked, is your beard by design, or do you have trouble growing a man-sized beard?
Oh, yeah, no, I cannot grow a man-sized beard. Yeah, it looks awful. So I try not to let it get to that point anymore. I just shave.
Like, no, it's just not going to work out for me. Yeah, Ryan's he's got some pretty epic beard growing skills. I'm kind of jealous.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what sparked that discussion earlier with that picture, and that was Eric Tillman's asked which one of us has put on more weight.
Yeah, I think definitely me.
Yeah, so I was gonna go back down to that real quick. That mentality that you had, and I forgot to snipe that in, was obviously you weren't a big guy when you're younger, and so you said sometimes some of the fights just wouldn't go your way. Is that because of your size, or just?
It doesn't mean I fought a lot, because I didn't. I think I've maybe been in 3, 4 tops. And the first one, it was when I was like in 6th grade, and I didn't know what I was doing. But I was never a big kid. I think all 4 years of high school, I weighed 160. I was tiny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, clearly I didn't let that stop me from getting into an altercation, because I just don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, that speaks again to that, what mentality can do for people, because I think maybe just because you'd stand up for yourself, people would be like, oh, I'm not going to fight this guy anymore, or I don't want to take him on anymore. And
yeah,
you had me by 30 pounds. I weighed 130 until was 21, then somehow magically I gained 20 pounds. So I was 150 until, as you've probably noticed just from knowing me for so long, like 2010 is when I really started to finally grow.
Yeah.
Um, and go back to like looking at, you know, teams as they are now versus as they used to be. When you're staring down that bear of a man that wanted to fight you at the Grand Canyon State Games, you know, you had some muscle and size on you. So it's like, oh, okay, well, no wonder why Payan won't back down, because he's actually pretty big. Like, he can hold his own. Whereas I think this guy could throw me across the court if he wanted to right now. So that's why I'm not going to stand in front of him.
Yeah.
But yeah, you never see like what went into building that product, or that final form, or not final, just that form that you're looking at right now. So that makes sense. Markel Stokes asked again, if you had to jump on a team from the West Coast region for the remainder of the year, which team would it be and why? And who would you replace from that team and why? I don't know how you feel about that last one. That might trigger some people, but if you want to go for it, man.
Oh, no, I would 100% go for it.
Okay. Yeah, right. Okay, why would you back down? We just talked about this.
For some reason, I was forced to join a different team. I would jump on Titan. And who I would replace, I'd replace Brett, because he's just garbage at everything. And I'd want to play with Titan because I like playing with Ketchum. I think we play well together, and we feed off each other in bad and good ways, which I love. But I also like playing with Casey. So I think it'd be fun to play with those guys again. And yeah, like I said, Brett's just a trash person, so I would replace him.
Yeah, he should just leave. Just just take, like, let Stephanie continue playing, but just go away, Brett. Just vanish. You're terrible.
100%. I'd rather play with Stephanie every day of the week than Brett.
Yeah, I'm glad I met Brett just so I can know Stephanie. Like, Brett contributes nothing. He's also like just a bad person, unreliable, just an all around bad guy.
Well, I mean, I'm glad I met Brett. Yeah, like you said, to meet Stephanie, and because I got to meet you, because they're both way better than Brett.
Oh man, it's funny. It's one of my favorite jokes. It's like, oh man, the only good thing that came out of Brett was Stephanie. That's it. Oh man, that was a funny one. Markel also asked, what is one of your most clutch plays in dodgeball that you can recall?
Oh,
I mean, you've only had a couple, so
yeah,
it should be easy to pick, right?
I can think of two. One is recent, which was at UDC when we were playing metahumans, who, by the way, no joke of a team. They have this one kid on their team, young kid, throws heat all day. He was just tearing us apart. But I think it was game three or four, and it was me 1-on-4. And I got rid of my last ball because, again, I don't care what the situation is. I'm just going to play dodgeball. But it left me with 1-on-4 with no balls, and they threw all four at me, and I caught one, and they missed the other ones. I'll say that was a more recent clutch one. But another one that always comes to mind is, I think it was finals in New Orleans against Titan. And it was me on Casey, and I caught Casey to end the game and win. It was a good throw. It was a nice catch. But I was also just so close to the back line. Like, when you replay the video, if I moved any farther back, I would have been over. But, I mean, I think that's a perfect example of just how I play dodgeball. Like, I don't know how many people would 1-on-1 sit in the corner, with a ball, pump fake, and then drop and go for a catch. Like, I think a lot of people would typically play it safer.
Right.
But that's just not my style. So I'd play in the moment and do what needs to be done.
Yeah, I didn't like that too much. That was not cool for when that happened. I was just replaying like how I even got there because I remember it was like me, Casey, and I want to say like maybe Ethan against Cole, and the son of a
And
caught my ball.
I think you guys also had Evie.
Um, was it 4 of us against Cole?
I think it was. I
Yeah,
remember. I think when I came on the court, the guy from Yastuva was still in.
the guy from yeah, it's Evie.
Okay, yeah, let me make sure. I never know if I'm going to say the wrong name or not.
That's fair. There's quite a few of them. Dominguez's. Yeah, I remember Cole, that wonderful, awesome, phenomenal player that he is, caught my ball. I think did that bring you in?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like a brick when that happens. Like, oh, man, of all the people, of all the times, why now? I just watched it happen. I was like, God, and that's one of the things that I'll just like. I'll say if like I'll have a regret, but it's just one of those like, man, like what would have been like if I just threw like on the outside, because I think he just like singled mine out immediately. Like he knew where I was going to go. My placement's pretty decent most of the time. It's pretty reliable. He just scooped it up, and I was like, well, that's how it goes, I guess. And like you said, it can go either way. If he dropped it, then we would have continued playing. So we had to beat you guys 3 more times after that. But like I don't lose sleep over.
Yeah.
I like the joke that I do, but it was a good game.
No, yeah, I think also a lot of people when they're in situations like that, they don't want to do something because they're afraid of losing it for their team. And I think that also just comes with, I mean, I've played a long time. I've lost a lot of games for a lot of teams I've been on.
Yeah.
You can't let the fear of that stop you from playing the game.
Yeah.
If we would have, if I would have dropped it and we would have had to go to the next game, like no one on my team would have yelled at me or said anything negatively. Like we would have walked across court, been like, all right, now we have to get this one, and we would have just kept playing. Like, at the end of the day, you just gotta play dodgeball.
Yeah, you gotta take those risks sometimes. Sometimes they'll play out for the best, sometimes they won't, and you just gotta. Yeah. Thankfully, there's a lot of dodgeball to be had, so you can't just be hung up on one thing. So I kind of transition to what is your favorite dodgeball memory to date? And I mean, you don't have to have like one specific answer, but just like what's one that just comes to mind?
I think the first thing that jumps into my mind is probably when we won our 3rd UDC in a row. I think that's probably one of the bigger ones. And I think just a big part of it is because in any sport, anytime you hear three-peat, like it's always bigger than any other ones.
Right.
So I think that's a big one for me, is that 3rd one that we got in Vegas. That was nice. Yeah,
3-peat's definitely like no one says 4th peat, or no one says like what bowling. It's like what it's a turkey, and then after that's like 4 bagger, 5. Like it doesn't sound cool afterwards. Like cool, like after you get turkey, like okay, cool, I'm good. Like oh, I got another strike, great. This has to end at some point, but yeah, that 3-peat is a pretty good like milestone, I guess, that few people ever make. So
yeah, that one, and then another one. The next biggest is probably winning the gold in Vegas for Worlds. That was a big one because again, you're wearing a jersey that says USA. You're playing with 8 other guys. They're all there, to represent your country with you. And I mean, it was honestly just an awesome group of guys. Like we've all become closer friends because of that. I mean, we all went and got tattoos, the same tattoo. That just goes to show you how much we care and respect each other. A lot of people that got the tattoo was their first one, and I know some people say, "Oh, it's just a tattoo," but for some people, like it's a big thing. But the fact that we all went to Vegas, we all played, we all won. We all sat a lot when we didn't want to sit, but we knew it was better for the team. Like we all sacrificed to get that gold, and then we sealed it with that tattoo. It was really something special.
Yeah, no, there was definitely something phenomenal about that whole thing, and that's one of the worlds that like sticks out the most in my mind. I mean, there's only like 3 of them,
Three
But
worlds
how many have there been so far
since then, or total?
total?
Oh, I think at least five, maybe even six.
15, 16, 17, 18.
Because there's been the last 2 years. There was Vegas before that, and then there was Hong Kong, which we were a part of also. And I think before Hong Kong, there were two more. So I think six total.
That the Team USA has been part of.
Yes.
Gotcha. Yeah, again, short-term memory, not there, but that's one that sticks out the most because there was just something about that, and then the aftermath was what I think resonated with me. Is that you guys were just united the entire time. The tattoos was awesome to see, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, it was just something about that specific Team USA that was just fantastic, and maybe so bold to say that that inspired and influenced how Team USA is being selected now, which is really fun to watch and really exciting to watch that build up happen. And that was going to lead into my next question. That was, what do you look forward to the next for 2018? But then I wrote that question back in January. We're in August now. So what's left? You got Elite Nationals and Worlds. Is there one that you're most excited for or most looking forward to?
I mean, I'm excited about both. Um, I love Elite Dodgeball. I love 8.5. I love everything that Mark's done for the sport. So I'm obviously excited about nationals. But I mean, like I said earlier, there's something about representing your country. Worlds is gonna. I'm more excited for Worlds representing the country, getting to play on a team with a couple people that were on the team the last time we won gold, and then getting to play with other people that I've seen in the sport, haven't gotten a chance to play with, but are just as good as the rest of us. And I'm excited to be able to step on that court with these other 8 individuals. We're all out there to represent our country, make everyone proud. So I mean I don't want to wait any longer. I just want next week to be the World's Week, just so we can get out there and get done what we need to get done.
Nice. Yeah, it's gonna be exciting to watch, and if I'm able to, I'm gonna try to make it. It should be just. I love all the hype that's being generated around it. So,
Yeah.
Last question, and I kind of took Tyler's little snip that he wrote about you when you were ranked, and that was. And I'm going to paraphrase this real quick. It's like, everyone knows who he is. He will go down as one of the greatest dodgeball players ever, and winning has always followed him. He attributes you as being one of the main reasons why Doom has 5 UGC championships. You're a 2-time USA dodgeball player for WDBF, part of the gold-winning team, and currently, I believe, a 2-time MVP for the entire Elite season. And all these accolades, right, on top of everything like pre-Elite as well. But he says this, and this is why I brought it up, is there's nothing left for him to prove as he has done it all. And so, and I call this the Andrew Ketchum question because I love this one. And it is, that all being said, for as long as you've been playing, what do you want to achieve in dodgeball still, and what keeps pushing you to play and get better? That's why I saved it for last.
Yeah. Man, I mean, being competitive, I feel like there's always more stuff to do. Like I could still become a better catcher or be a better thrower, but I mean, Worlds obviously is something like getting another gold medal. If we can, maybe doing that again next year. Like there's always that aspect now that Jake and Mark and everyone that's on the committee and the team, they're leading that organization in the right direction. Like that's something I would like to do, over the next couple of years, is still be a part of USA team, whether it's playing or maybe even being on the coaching staff, down the road. World's definitely on that list of stuff that I still want to achieve. Also, UDC again, like definitely don't want to end on that loss. Like want to come back and show everyone and prove to everyone that, okay, yeah, we lost, but we're not gone.
Right.
I think those two things are probably what drives me the most right now. I also just love to play dodgeball. I don't want to say I have a big influence on anybody or the community or anything, but I would like to hope and think that people can see me play for as long as I've played, that I have fun doing it, um, that it just gets people to keep playing longer and staying with it. Um, and I mean, I also like playing. I mean, now like obviously not an elite or UDC, but like all these other tournaments or leagues. Like I like playing, especially with like newer people because I like to help. You know, um, I like to help people. They have questions how they can get better or what they should do, like in certain situations. Like I love that, and I think that's also part of the reason why I keep playing dodgeball and don't want to stop is because I wanna help as many people as I can, keep them involved and going because we need all these younger people playing to keep it going. Otherwise, you know, over the next however many years, it's dodgeball's not going to be as big as it is now.
Yeah, you got to pass the torch, so to speak, as you said earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, there's something about like that. I don't want to say it's like altruism, but there's something about wanting to bring other people into dodgeball so that they can enjoy and appreciate everything that it has to offer, that has kept me doing what I've done for so long with Tucson Dodgeball. And I loved watching people like Brett coming in as complete noobs, as nobodies, and watching them just completely like ascend through the ranks, so to speak, going from playing in a league to some Phoenix tournaments to elite to sky's the limit really. Like, and people that just play rec league and that's it, that's totally fine. We definitely want to see more people get involved. I don't know if that's because it's like we want to share that awesomeness, or if we just want the sport to continue after we've stepped off. Because I've been on it for a while, and there is that exit coming soon. Don't know when, but it's there, and it just makes me wonder like what do I do afterwards, and what's it all for, and what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? And I hope that people that do listen to this get a lot of those takeaways that you gave away. I think there's a lot of really good, I call it free chicken, that you've offered that I think could really help people push past those barriers and really just see dodgeball in a different way. So
I hope so.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. Well, dang, I mean, we're already at the 1:45 mark, so probably have to end it there. But I could probably talk more for hours on end. So I definitely appreciate you hopping on and eager to get this one out.
Yeah, no, I'm excited.
So that was my interview with Justin Payan, and wow, some of these interviews really floor me because it gives me a chance to take a good look back at the last 14 years of my life and realize that it is so much more than just dodgeball. I know people that don't play dodgeball will always dismiss it as just a game or just a silly thing, Steve does on the weekends, but it really just makes my life so much better and enriches it in so many ways that, kind of like what we talked about earlier, where we want to bring other people into that so they can experience it for themselves and just understand better. Again, I don't know why we do it, but we do want to see dodgeball flourish, and I was really happy to hear Justin talk about that because that's why we do the things we do. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it was super long, but it felt kind of bad having to cut it short. Could have definitely gone another hour or so easily, just because there's so much to draw from 2007 and moving forward. But maybe we'll just continue that conversation at another time. Justin, thank you so much for hopping on. Everyone that submitted your questions, thank you so much for providing those. It was fun going back into the good old interviewing. I enjoyed that, so looking forward to doing that some more. And as always, for everybody that's provided their feedback, their questions or suggestions, whether it's on the thread or on the page or through messaging, I am super appreciative of it. I know that this podcast is a work in progress, and the only way it's going to get better is through your feedback and what you guys want to see, who you want to hear, events you want to be covered. I mean, everything's all fair game. As long as it's reasonable, I am down to somehow work with you and make it happen. So on that note, everybody have a great rest of your Friday. Thank you for listening. Have a great weekend, and we'll catch you next time. The closing. How the hell do you wrap something like that up? Let's just try to wing it. If it doesn't work, I'll write something. All right. Closing in 3. Gross. Closing in 5, 4, 3.